How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the riots that happened last night in West Philadelphia, which was Monday, October 26, 2020, due to the shooting death of an armed suspect, a 27-year-old black male by the name of Walter Wallace Jr. Now, you've had 30 officers injured. One officer suffered a broken leg, a 56-year-old female sergeant, when a black pickup truck plowed through the police riot line. You understand? So the police are out there in the straight line trying to keep the horde of people from advancing forward, but a black pickup ran right through that, ran her over, broke her leg. Now, thankfully, nobody has any life-threatening injuries, and hopefully we stay that way. We don't go down a really dangerous and dark path. You've had over 30 arrested for rioting, for burning, for looting. Of course, you've had multiple police cars set on fire. Multiple businesses have been looted. It's a big mess out there in West Philly. Now, I do have video of the shooting. I won't play the entire thing or the audio, so I'll just play it right now as I'm talking. Now, what happened is Walter Wallace's mother called the police on him. From what I'm reading, and it could be accurate, inaccurate, not really sure, but from what I'm reading, he was beating on her. The father said he had mental health issues and he was on medication. But whatever the case may be, he comes out of the house wielding a knife, right? And the police are telling him, hey, drop the knife, over and over and over again. He's not listening, and he's advancing towards the police officers with the knife while they have their guns drawn. So as he gets closer and closer, they have no choice but to go ahead and shoot him. All right. Now, when they do that, the mama's out there. She's crying. Oh, no, you shouldn't have done it. She go right over to him, and his body's laying on the ground while they still got their guns out. They don't put their guns on her. They kind of lower the guns. Bystanders are saying, oh, you had to shoot him that many times. It's like, look, he had a knife. It's on videotape, okay? This is clear what's going on. The only other alternative for the cops would have been one or two things. One, they just run away, which defeats the purpose. The mother called you there because this man is erratic. He's beating on the mother. He has a knife. He's armed and dangerous. That's why the police were called on him. They didn't just show up for no reason. They were called on him. That's the first thing. The second thing is, they can't really not shoot him. They have their guns out. They can't run away because they were called to the scene. And they can't not shoot him because they got their guns out. What are they going to do? Just get stabbed? To me, that doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, what they did was the appropriate thing to do. They have the guns out. They're telling him to stop. He's not obeying commands, so they have to shoot to end the threat. Now, some say, oh, they shot him too many times. It was ridiculous. They could have shot him one or two times. I think Meek Mill, the rapper, very popular, famous Philadelphia rapper, he said that on his Instagram or Twitter or somewhere. Some social media page he said that on. Oh, they could have shot him a time or two or hit him with a taser. That's not really how it works. You shoot to end the threat, okay? When the threat is over with, then it's over with. The threat is a guy with a knife barging towards you when you're telling him to drop the knife over and over again. Stop, freeze, drop the knife. He's not obeying any commands. So you're shooting to end the threat, okay? It's not about, oh, shoot him in the leg. And that's not even really intelligent either, because you can be shot in the leg. If you hit that femoral artery, it's a wrap. You can bleed out right there on the scene, all right? And also, this is not a video game. You can't just pause time and have the bullet go to a specific place to hit a specific thing that'd be disabling because of something else. Just because you're shot does not mean you're going to be disabled. Okay, you could get shot 2, 3, 4, 5 times. There's guys are living right now that have been shot 8, 9, 10 times and didn't die, or they weren't even really disabled, really. They could have kept on going. The guy could have been on drugs, adrenaline's pumping. So just because you're shot does not mean you're going to stop. You shoot to end the threat. It's unfortunate that he died, but what was the alternative going to be? All right. You have a knife. You're charging at the cops. What's going to be their option? It's not much they can do. They can run away, which defeats the purpose of being there, or they can just get stabbed. And that doesn't make any sense either. You're not going to get called out to a place to get hurt yourself, but I'll move right along. So you've had quite a bit of damage out there in Philadelphia. For what reason? There is no reason. Okay. And I'm not really sure if you got BLM out there. I'm sure they will be out there if they are not already. And Antifa, of course, because they want to fan the flames. I think a lot of that was just local stuff. You got guys like Meek Mill, who I mentioned earlier, fanning the flames. Also, Wallow267 from the podcast he has with Gilly the Kid. Okay, he's on his Instagram having this whole bit live talking about, oh, they ain't have to do it, and I'm calling out the mayor and all this and that. Don't call out the mayor. Don't call out anybody in government. What does that got to do with a guy with a knife that's refusing to put it down? Okay, who already had problems, who had his own family call the police on him. It reminds me of the whole Daniel Pruitt situation up there in Rochester, New York. Okay, they're mad that he died, but I mean, whose fault was it that he died? I mean, the police were called on him, and he obviously was high on drugs, had a drug problem, and everybody knew it. I think the reason why he died is because of the drugs. I don't think he got shot or hurt by the police. I think it was just him that was having some problems. That's really what it was. All right. You can't blame the police. The police were called on him, and he was already having some issues. If a person already has issues, they're already kind of mentally not right, then how are you going to blame anybody else other than them? Okay. You got 33 people getting arrested for what? What are you even doing? What's the purpose of being out there just acting the fool? Okay. Being out there rioting is not going to change time. You can't bring this man back. It's not going to prevent him from leaving that house with a knife. That should have been the primary objective. If you can focus that many people into a place because of a perceived wrongdoing, why don't you rally that many people to stop this man from being out there with a knife, stop him from beating on his mother, stop the whole situation from even developing to begin with, rather than coming, like a Johnny come lately and then being like, oh, I want to riot, I want to loot, I want to shoot, I want to carry on. All you're going to do is just damage that neighborhood more than what it already was. You in West Philadelphia, I don't think you're in the best place on planet Earth. You're probably in a low income, impoverished environment anyway. What's the point in making it worse by burning stuff up, tearing stuff down? You're probably ruining a lot of black businesses for what? All because of this man who had a knife and got shot by the police. All right. This whole thing about, black men, we get killed by police, unarmed black men. That narrative is running really thin because in a lot of these cases, I don't see police even shoot anybody, first of all. Like in the George Floyd thing, Daniel Pruitt, a lot of these guys don't even get shot, okay? A lot of these guys are on drugs, and we don't want to address that in the community. We don't want to address the rise in drug use, fentanyl and cocaine, heroin, whatever. They're on these hard drugs, mental problems, not going to the doctor, not getting any kind of real therapy, just out here, just emotions running wild. We don't want to address that part, right? That's the main thing that's going on that I think we should talk about. So while we're trying to say, oh, it's the police, it's outside forces, maybe we got to look within. Look within ourselves to fix whatever is happening. Okay. A lot of these men are armed and dangerous. This whole unarmed thing is not even the reality. Armed with a gun, armed with a knife. I saw another incident out there in California. I forget exactly where it was, the specific place. Might have been in LA. I'm not really sure where it was. But anyway, this man got shot by the police and people were out there rioting like almost immediately. But he had a gun, literally. The officer's trying to arrest him. He's resisting the course. They're wrestling on the ground. They're tussling. And at a certain point, when they're on the ground, the guy gets up, but you can clearly see the gun in his hand. And at that point, it's when he gets shot. People say, oh, you have to shoot him. You hit him with a taser. He has a gun. He has a gun in his hand. So what should have been the appropriate response to a gun? Don't bring a taser to a gunfight. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. For the other man that passed away, when the police have their guns drawn on you and you have a knife and you charging at them and they're telling you to drop the knife over and over and over again, you have no choice but to drop the knife. If you don't drop the knife, then there's going to be a problem. It's plain and simple as that. So as I close, I want to say this. It's unfortunate when anybody dies, that's somebody's loved one, their friend, their brother, their son, their whatever. It's unfortunate that he died, but what was the alternative? Okay, the family couldn't handle them. They couldn't do nothing. That's why they called the police. Okay, if the family could have done something or the neighborhood could have done something, maybe you would not be here today. All right, but they couldn't. They called the police. Now, when you call the police, what do you expect them to do? All right. If this person is not obeying commands, you can't get them under control. You can't just bring out some type of therapist. Like people think that a therapist is a hypnotist and they could just cause this guy who's probably high on drugs or a mental problem with a knife. They think that the therapist can just make this man stop in his tracks, put the knife down, put the hands behind his back, and get arrested, go to jail. That's not how that works. Okay. When a guy is in that frame of mind to where he's just seeing red or he's seeing black, he's not going to care about any police officer, any therapist, or nothing like that. All right. The appropriate measures should have been taken to prevent him from being in that space to begin with. But if that's not possible, if that's just where he was in his mind, then there's no alternative, unfortunately. And the reality is that a lot of guys die like that in the hood every day, and nobody cares because it's not an officer that does it. It's just a regular guy in the street that does it. So it's okay. It's fine when that happens. The black on black murder rate is jumping in Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Newark, New Jersey, New York, everywhere, all over the country, probably because defund the police, less police enforcement, less police interaction, you're going to have more crime. But anyway, these rates are jumping up all over the country, and it's fine according to the mainstream media and the same people that are out here protesting, so-called protesting for this man that got shot. That's fine, but when they get killed by an officer, all of a sudden it's not fine. When they get killed by a white person, all of a sudden it's not fine. It's just kind of weird. If the energy was focused on the right thing, just having less violence in the community, then you wouldn't be worried about things like this because the amount of people that died would be so slim. The people that are out there wouldn't be engaging in this kind of dangerous behavior. Simple as that. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that the shooting of Walter Wallace Jr. was justified? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or was it not justified? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at with it. It's unfortunate that he died, but there was no other alternative. You charge the officers with a knife. They're telling you put the knife down, and you don't do it. I don't see a real way out of that situation. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.